Welcome to the next level, guys, girls, and non-binary pals, and happy Halloween! Here on the Penguinator, we sorta have a new problem. Melissa's really gotten into King Kong, and she's been keeping everyone up.
Well, maybe if you didn't insist on reviewing the film and making us all watch it, she wouldn't be like this.
She does look good at that outfit, though. Wow.
No shit, Inspector Catnip.
It's a good thing we're in space. The neighbors would lose their minds.
What is all this noise? I can't sleep here.
How? You're all the way in Australia. We're the ones that are stuck up here with her.
Well, I still expected you to do something about it. I mean, if you did Dracula or Frankenstein instead, this wouldn't have happened.
Okay, I'll try to make the video, see if that'll fix things. Jeez. I can't help it that the people on this ship are insane.
Psychopaths, even.
I freaking love monster movies. To me, King Kong has always been the eighth wonder of the world in filmmaking. And I still can't believe how it got released during the Great Depression. Knowing the story behind this film is insane. And what Marion C. Cooper was able to make was truly breathtaking. I want to share that with all of you. It's been a while since I've done a monster movie. It may seem completely out of left field for the channel, but King Kong was actually the very first 32-bit blue I ever did, even predating my awful Sonic 1 video. Since then, I've gone back and started making better videos in the series, remaking some of the old ones. Kong was always one I wanted to revisit again. What better time than Halloween? If you're watching the film with the most recent restoration as of 2005, an overture was added to open the film, as there is no overture attached to the initial release. This is as good a time as any to talk about the amazing soundtrack attached to Kong. After all, this soundtrack is legendary for a few reasons, and it almost didn't happen. This film cost RKO a lot of money, even with all the ways they reused assets from other films. RKO was not willing to pay for a new soundtrack to go with the film, wanting to use stock music instead. The director, Marion C. Cooper, paid Max Steiner himself to make sure the film had a proper soundtrack. This marks the first time an American-made sound film got a soundtrack, and Steiner did such a great job, RKO actually repaid Cooper. That's how good it was. The title cards play afterwards, getting the audience excited with the extravagant music before calming down as the film begins. Late at night, sometime in the middle of the New York Harbor, in the middle of the Great Depression, a talent agent is making a visit to bring some bad news to Carl Denham, a famous director known for his films that take place in exotic locations. A sailor he asks for directions from explains how unusual the venture is compared to other ships, especially its crew. 3 times more than the ship its size would need, according to the sailor. However, the conversation is cut short by Jack Driscoll, first mate on the venture, questioning them. Back on the ship, Denham and Captain Englehorn are talking about how the marshal will be there tomorrow or the next day to question him on the trip he's making, and that they need to get out of the harbor before that happens. Denham, however, wants an actress first, as he's sick and tired of all his films being criticized for not having any romance in them. As he puts it,
Well, isn't there any romance or adventure in the world without having a flapper in it?
the character Carl Denham parallels real-world director of this film, Marion C. Cooper, and his mannerisms. Marion fought in World War I as a flying ace, on more than one occasion was reported dead to his family, spent time in various concentration camps, became a filmmaker, made amazing nature documentaries, and that's just before Kong. He did so much in his lifetime that it's hard to put it all into words. So Denham goes into New York in the middle of the night to find a woman, of course checking out various women's shelters. There's this one line from a random extra here.
What do they give you in this joint? Soup tonight, coffee and sinkers in the morning.
That bugged the hell out of a teenage blue genocide. What did she say? Coffee and Snickers in the morning? Like the chocolate bar? Coffee and sneakers in the morning? Like coffee in the boot? Get out of here? It turns out the line is coffee and sinkers in the morning. Sinkers being 30 slang for donut. So why couldn't she just say donut? Also, a shelter is giving out coffee and donuts? In the middle of the Great Depression? Nice place. Anyways, Denham comes to the rescue of a blonde who is nearly arrested for stealing an apple, or at least looking at one. After Denham gives the poor and scared woman probably the worst pitch in the history of filmmaking. Seriously, add some horror movie music here and it's really concerning how he talks to her.
I've got a job for you. Costumes on the ship will fit you. Broadway shops are still open. I can get some clothes for you there. Come on.
But What is it?
It's money and adventure and fame. It's the thrill of a lifetime and a long sea voyage that starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But in all reality, he's just eccentric. And Darrow, the blonde, is overjoyed at the idea of escaping her life as soon as she understands that there will be no funny business involved, and agrees to go. Back on the Venture, Anne runs into the back of Jack's hand. No, seriously. In my opinion, the worst part of the plot starts to unfold here. Jack is unhappy with Denham bringing Anne along on the mysterious trip, and says a bunch of sexist crap that doesn't even faze Anne. The two are going to end up together. Yup.
So you mean Aaron has a chance still? Okay, I'm sorry, jeez.
As an undisclosed amount of time goes on by the Venture, we see Denham run some camera tests with Anne. And look, it's pretty obvious that Canadian actress Fay Wray is not wearing anything underneath that costume. It's more obvious later on, but I really quickly want to explain another factor to why this film itself is truly the eighth wonder. You see, this is a pre-code film, meaning it came out before July 1st, 1934, which is when the Hays Code took into effect. Around this time in cinema, films were becoming more and more racy in their subject matter, and you know religious groups had to object to immoral things like romantic and sexual relationships between black and white people. Religious groups, because why bother writing jokes and a whole group of people be the joke for you? The reason I bring it up now, and will bring it up later, is because give it just a year and a few months later, and Kong couldn't have been made. And no, it's not just because of Fay Wray's marketable assets. I also just really love how they transition here. Having Anne scream for the first time as Jack says,
What's he think she's really gonna see?
they managed to find the island Denham has secretly been looking for, an uncharted island with a mountain that's shaped like a skull, as he has his sights on Kong, a well-known native superstition. As Denham, Jack, Englehorn, and various other sailors look out for where the natives of the island are, they find them in a fantastic ritual and watch in awe. I'm sure there must be a few extras in blackface here, but I think for the most part the native scenes in this film are handled at least tastefully, even if there's also an unfortunate Chinese stereotype in the film as well. The native chief, played by actor Noble Johnson, just captures my attention with his acting skill, as he emotes everything in this scene when he spots the sailors and stops the ritual with only his eyes. Of course, there's small conflict as the natives want Denham and the others gone for ruining the ritual, which they call the Bride of Kong, until they spy Anne, a so-called golden woman, and offer to trade 6 women for Anne. I mean, these are sailors after all. This was also the 30s, and the sailors are probably racist. Now, of course, they don't even entertain the idea, I'm just kidding. As the crew decide to retreat and come back tomorrow.
Don't be scared, everything's all right. Smile, Ann, and talk to Jack. Keep your chin up.
Late that night, Anne and Jack are talking, and he lets it slip that he was scared for her. The two confess their love for each other. Yeah, you can tell this romance was written by a man, but actually, it was a woman. Explaining who wrote Kong gets kind of complex. There's a lot of people attached to the film. The person that wrote the first draft was famous British author Edgar Wallace. Cooper believing that having him attached to the film would help sell the film. While Wallace did complete a first draft called The Beast in January 1932, it needed work and revisions, but unfortunately Wallace died in February 1932. Only after starting said revisions. James Creelman was brought in, which was convenient since he was working on the script of The Most Dangerous Game at the same time. He also made a draft called The Eighth Wonder, which Cooper was also unhappy with. Because of his duties to The Most Dangerous Game, Creelman had to step away from the Kong project for a while, and RKO scriptwriter Horace McCoy was brought in to help Cooper, with some minor assistance from Leon Gordon. When Creelman came back, he hated the more mythical elements. Since Cooper and Creelman couldn't agree on a final script, eventually Cooper went to his friend Ruth Rose, co-director Ernest Schoedsack's wife, to finish the script. She is the one who added the parallels to the real-world adventures, including basing Jack Driscoll on her husband. Jack is called away right there after kissing Anne, and while she promises to stay there, unfortunately, the natives have other ideas and kidnap her. This scene still gives me shivers as they sneak onto the ship and take her, making no noise as they do. while before anybody notices, and of all people, it's the Chinese cook Charlie who finds the only evidence of a struggle. It's not too long until nearly the whole ship is heading out to save Anne, but it's a little too late. This scene just amazes me in terms of the sheer spectacle on display, with just how all this is set up. The massive wall, what seems like hundreds of extras, and Anne in the center of it all, as she's now in the place of the ritual for the bride of Kong. He watches the gate is opened. Anne is dragged through, tied by her arms, and the chief rings a bell. This is the scene that's most interesting to watch with somebody who doesn't know the film like I do. Most of the time, I prepare them, letting them know that the special effects are not up to the standards of a film today. So when they do see Kong, they think, oh, well that's not too bad. Wait, this film is nearing 90, and that's when it settles in. This film is so far ahead of its time, it wouldn't be until midway through Ray Harryhausen's filmography that we'd see effects this impressive, and that wouldn't be for another 30 years. Willis O'Brien was the man behind the effects of Kong. As he single-handedly pioneered stop-motion animation, it's hard to ignore his already impressive resume. Hired by the Thomas Edison, he did numerous short films before creating the effects for The Lost World in 1925, which were so good the author, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, tricked a group of people that it was actual dinosaur footage. While O'Brien was an amazing man, he also had his share of tragedy. Shortly after the time Kong was released, his ex-wife shot and killed his 2 sons, one of which was blind, before shooting herself. That's why pictures of O'Brien from this time period show such a sad man. If you enjoy monster movies or special effect films, you have him to thank. His work needs to be recognized as one of the greats. Anne is taken by Kong just as the sailors catch up with their guns and bombs. Immediately, half the sailors rush through the gate after the ape. The latter half of the film are almost all action scenes, and all of them are so much fun to watch. The sailors run into a stegosaurus, they take down bombs, and is shot directly in the eye before reaching a swamp. They build a raft to travel over with their weapons, but they are attacked by another dinosaur. Now the fatalities start. This vegetarian dinosaur does not get the memo about its diet because it's grabbing sailors by the head with its teeth and throwing them like rag dolls. I couldn't even begin to imagine how horrifying and amazing this would have been to a 1930s audience. As someone from nearly a century later, I'm still watching in glee as these miniature dinosaurs tear the people apart. The sailors running through the forest encounter Kong on a log as Jack and Denham are separated from the others. Kong drops them all into a deleted scene we'll talk about later. Jack might have been next if it wasn't for Kong leaving Anne behind to stop the sailors, and the T-Rex who went to attack the ape. Arguably the second most famous scene in the entire film, Kong wrestles with the T-Rex in an amazing battle. According to legend, this is the scene Cooper shot in secret to get the entire film greenlit by RKO. All the planets align to get the pieces of this film fitting in the right place. Cooper had a jungle set already built for another film, The Most Dangerous Game, to use with some of the cast already pulling double duty. O'Brien had quite a few dinosaur models left over from his cancelled movie Creation, so that the majority of the budget for this film can be focused entirely on its special effects he was pioneering. And the first thing they make is this amazing scene? too good to be true. Kong tears the Rex's jaw apart in something that could be compared to a Mortal Kombat fatality. As Kong takes Ann away, Denim and Jack remain, separating so one can go back and prepare weapons and manpower, and the other can stay on Kong's trail. Kong takes Ann to his lair, where, of course, Ann gets attacked by another dinosaur. The wonderful Kong documentary on the Blu-ray and DVD go into detail about how insane this one scene is with its special effects. There's water, steam, stop motion animation, and the actors are being added into the scene frame by frame. It's insane. Kong takes Ann to the top of the Skull Mountain, where Ann has her clothes torn off by a curious Kong. Can you believe this is one of the scenes cut for the reissues? Jack brings attention to himself as he accidentally drops a boulder and almost gets caught by Kong. Luckily though, Ann can't be alone here for 5 minutes, and Kong has to come to her rescue once again. Jack reunites with Ann and the two sneak off the vine down the mountain. Kong catches onto this a little late. Just as he might get the two of them, they jump down to the water below. And yes, if you go frame by frame here on a Blu-ray, you can see every bit of Fay Ray here.
Oh, Melissa, we saw a scene from Kong we'd like to reenact with you.
I don't remember the scene from Kong with what the end of
I'm not a cat!
Sure thing, Whiskers. Now shut up. Ann and Jack make it back. Probably just on the adrenaline, no doubt from the situation. But Kong is hot on their trail and ain't being stopped by any 2,000-year-old Kong-sized gate. Why is that thing Kong-sized in the first place? Just because they had to get him to the other side? But why not get him to the other side, then build the gate? I don't know. With a little effort, he breaks the thing open. Not only are the sailors in trouble, but the helping natives are too. Some of these scenes are brutal even today. Kong shoves several natives into his mouth or stomps on them. All close-ups here of Kong doing violent stuff were taken out of the 1938 reissue, and were considered lost for well over 30 years, until, years later, the person who took these scenes out, it turned out he kept them and took them home. If it wasn't for that, they may have stayed lost. Luckily, the scenes were left alone outside the US, and have been preserved properly on the DVD and Blu-ray releases. Just as Kong reaches the shores, Denim has the balls to chuck a gas bomb at Kong. And it works. Kong takes a nap, and Denim decides to take Kong with him.
He'll be out for hours. Send to the ship for anchor chains and tools.
What are you going to
To
do?
build a raft to float him to the ship. Why, the whole world will pay to see this.
No chains will ever hold that.
We'll give him more than chains. He's always been king of his world, but we'll teach him fear. We're millionaires, boys. I'll share it with all of you. Why, in a few months it'll be up in lights on Broadway. Kong, the eighth wonder of the world!
The film cuts to an unknown amount of time later, when Kong is being held for a Broadway show. Denim plans to use the ape for spectacle to make money for him and all of the survivors. What I like about this film over its remakes is that even if Denim is a risk taker and is maybe just a bit too eccentric, they don't paint him as a bad guy. It makes for a far more interesting character. Unfortunately, we also know that Kong isn't going to stay chained in there for long. So as soon as he thinks Ann is in danger, he breaks out and scares everyone. With Kong loose in New York City, Jack tries to take Ann and hide her, but the ape manages to find her.
I'm gonna stay right here with you.
Anyhow, you know they're bound to get him.
A wonderful bit of trivia is that Kong attacking the train was an afterthought. The initial cut of Kong came out to be 13 reels, a taboo in Hollywood at that time. You can tell that they added it in later because Kong doesn't actually have the remains of his chains on for this scene. This scene does nothing to advance the plot or is even necessary, but it's such a fun addition you kind of just are happy that it's here in the first place. Back to the plot though, Jack manages to finally figure out how to get rid of Kong now once and for all. Airplanes. 4 planes take off after Kong. who's currently climbing the tallest building in New York at that time, which was being built while production for Kong was underway. Being added to the script rather late because originally the script called for the Chrysler Building. Kong does fight against the planes as well as he possibly can, but he's just no match for their machine guns. Fun fact, in the close-ups of the plane, that's actually the two directors, Merian C. Cooper and Ernest Schoedsack. Apparently Cooper was quoted as saying, "We created him, we should kill the son of a bitch ourselves." What truly amazes me is how effective they were with making you feel bad for Kong in this scene. He isn't a person anywhere in this film. Entirely a special effect. A special effect from the 30s. Yeah, you don't want to see him shot and killed in this scene because he's become real to you. This must have been the first time a special effect ever made anyone feel this way. And it's quite powerful. Kong falls down in the New York streets as Anne and Jack reunite on the top. And Denham goes to the body of Kong and says this famous final line.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast. Beauty killed the beast.
And it's true. Kong curiously discovered Golden Woman and fell in love with her, wanted to protect her, and was scared of him. But he came to save her every single time. He was dragged from his home, just to break out because he thinks she's in danger, and for his trouble, he's slain in the strange land. The nature versus technology themes Cooper wanted to incorporate work so well. In front of a technically impressive, bombastic movie is one that also features surprising, introspective moments. Every set piece in this film is there to serve a purpose of its strong themes. This is a simple plot with a huge spectacle and passion poured into it, and I want to reiterate why I truly think this film has become the eighth wonder. The fact that this film was made is enough of a miracle. If it wasn't for Willis O'Brien's unmade creation film and the jungle sets for The Most Dangerous Game, the fact that the Hays Code wouldn't be in effect for another year, and Cooper having the foresight to pay for a unique soundtrack during the Depression, I think it would take decades for another film to come out and compare to King Kong. I recommend, even if you have no interest in monster movies, to at least check it out. And if you are at all interested in monster movies, to also check it out. This film is the eighth wonder for a reason. Alright, that wraps up Kong.
Well, next time, make sure you get your work done in the morning. A man needs his beauty sleep.
Yeah, I suppose it would take you a long time to get that.
Mate, I'll remember that when I need to do the sniffle shorts, alright?
Yeah, see you later, psychopath. Okay, Melissa, you need to relax on the screaming. I'm glad you got so into it, but I just can't have you going off constantly.
Oh, it's no problem. I actually watched another monster movie of yours.
Oh? Which?
The original Godzilla.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, jeez. Alright, guys, see you next time. We gotta get to the shelter. Run! Jack of Big Jack Films? It's an honor. I've been watching your Kong videos for years. What can I do for you?
Are you trying to steal my channel's main theme? Because I'm the King Kong guy around here.
Oh, no, sir. Honestly, it's a bit of the new thing for the channel, and I'm just a bit of a monster movie nerd. And I thought Kong would be a good start on things, being my second favorite film of all time. It's really an honor, though.
Okay, well, if there's a King Kong 76 video on your channel, I will be on to you!
I just about crapped myself. That was so cool.
By the way, y'all, subscribe to this kid. He seems pretty chill. Ciao!